80% of the things Will Dimwit just spewed was incorrect, and that was only done in like 50 seconds. This is almost like an impressive amount of lying done in such a short amount of time. So great job, Will Dimwit. So PragerU is back. Once again, PragerU has gone mask off, kind of. Like, they just keep on doing these self-owns on Twitter. I don't understand it. This being their latest, young people are enamored with anti-racist rhetoric because they think they are fighting racist systems in America. The truth is they are fighting America itself and the very values the country was founded on. So my first question, why the fuck does PragerU hate America so much? I'm sorry, I think there are racist systems in America, but I don't think by attacking that, we're attacking America itself. I believe that there's a lot of good in America also. This is a strange tweet. Now, maybe they worded it poorly, or maybe they just have an intern that's like a lefty, and they're just trolling the fuck out of PragerU at this point. How do you tweet something like this? They just lack so much self-awareness at this point. Are they admitting that America is founded on racism? Or are they saying that people who think they're fighting racism are actually fighting American values? But wouldn't that mean that American values were racist? It hurts. My brain is in pain. My skull is suffering. You remember the other PragerU video that we went over where they tried to say that Robert E. Lee was good actually because he stopped a slave rebellion and his dad lived by George Washington or something? Recently, this came to my attention, delivered to us by everyone's favorite, Will Wit, or as I like to call him, Will Dimwit. But then again, you can't really blame this kid. I almost feel bad for him, like he is literally paid by PragerU, by oil billionaires, to be stupid. It sucks. But let's hear Will Wit debunk the fact that some of the founding fathers were racist.
Thomas Jefferson had a black woman who he impregnated, freed him, taught him how to read and write, went against the crown to do so. Benjamin Franklin started...
Stop. Okay. So this is only a 53-second video. Okay, so we're going to be pausing it pretty, often. All right, because we're going to go through all of these claims. Because what he does is essentially a Gish Gallop where he just spews out a bunch of claims, some half-truths, some just wrong, and then some generally correct, and then mushes them all together to try to make a more compelling argument. So let's start it over, okay?
Thomas Jefferson had a black woman who he impregnated, freed him, taught him how to read and write, went against the crown to do so.
Okay, so Thomas Jefferson had a black woman who he impregnated. Very odd. First of all, I'm pretty sure that doesn't mean you're not racist, okay? Second of all, Thomas Jefferson did not have sex with her consensually. He raped her. You remember the power dynamics with her being literally enslaved? We now also have conclusive DNA evidence that Thomas Jefferson was the father of, I believe, the 6 children of that woman. So he impregnated a black woman? No, he raped his slave, Will. There's a little bit of a slight little difference there. I looked this up because I had to fact check everything these dipshits say. Thomas Jefferson spent years raping his slave, Sally Hemings. So DNA evidence has proved that Jefferson and Hemings had 6 children together while Jefferson kept Hemings enslaved. And Jefferson also enslaved their children, freeing them one by one as they came of age. So notice how Will Wit frames it here, which is, he impregnated her, he freed the slave. No, he enslaved her children and kept her enslaved and didn't free them until they were of age. Till they were like 18 years old. So they lived their entire childhood in slavery. So not only was the power dynamic fucked up with him being a slave master and her being the slave, but also Jefferson was in his 40s when this girl was a teenager. So that's another fucked up power dynamic. Hemings was a child and Jefferson literally owned her. She was not in any position to give or withhold consent. What Jefferson did to Hemings was rape. So, great framing, William Dimwit. He impregnated her, dude. He taught him how to read and write, dude. He impregnated a black woman, dude. How can he be racist? Because he raped his slave. That's why. Second of all, when he brings up the going to school thing, Thomas Jefferson's, solution or attempt there, if I'm not mistaken, was to separate the children from their parents, send them off to a school, and then when they were done being educated, put them in a, colony, like a black-only ethno-state almost. The hoops that these people will jump through to defend America. He raped his slave? Well, he couldn't be racist. He had sex with a black woman. Nice one.
One of the first anti-slavery to win against the crown to do so. Benjamin Franklin starting one of the first anti-slavery societies in America. John Adams.
So see how he does this? He mixes a true statement in with a false statement, right? So the half-truth, or the just at this point blatant falsehood, was the Thomas Jefferson claim, but the claim about Benjamin Franklin is true. Yes, Benjamin Franklin did try to start a society to not only no longer have black people enslaved, but also integrate black people into society. That's true. But when you mesh your true claims with false claims, it's kind of more or less a gish gallop. It's very dishonest of you, Will.
Slavery societies in America. John Adams being against slavery. George Washington.
John Adams being against slavery. Oh, I really wish that people would simply do a little bit of research. Again, like I said, Will Witt is paid to believe this stuff. So, Adams, despite being opposed to slavery, did not support abolitionism except if it was done in a gradual way with much caution and circumspection. Adams dismisses radical abolitionist measures as producing greater violations of justice and humanity than the continuance of the practice of slavery itself. Adams also wrongly asserts that the practice of slavery is fast diminishing. Rather than declining, slavery was growing in America. So, no, wrong. He was like the ultimate virtue signaler. Basically, he was like, yeah, slavery, dude, it's really bad. Except he owned slaves his entire life and didn't want to get rid of slavery anytime soon, and also thought that getting rid of slavery would be a greater evil than continuing slavery. Why do these people lie? They just lie. Anyone that gets their news from PragerU or Will Dimwit over here is a fucking idiot. I'm sorry, but it's true.
Adams being against slavery. George Washington talking about how there is no one who wants to abolish slavery more than him. And in the
That's great. George Washington was another one who didn't even free his slaves until he died. It was in his will that they would be free, unless that was John Adams. It was either him or George Washington. Second of all, I can point you here to the Encyclopedia of Virginia, which goes over George Washington and slavery. And you can read all about the various ways that George Washington not only abused and mistreated his slaves repeatedly, he commanded others to do the same. We have it in writing of him writing to people saying that you need to beat the slaves. Some slaves would be beaten so hard that they would be incapacitated. Washington instructed one overseer, be constantly with your people when there. There is no other sure way of getting work well done and quietly by Negroes. For when an overlooker's back is turned, the most of them will slight their work or be idle together. He approved harsh punishment, even for the seemingly trivial offense of being impertinent. They were virtue signaling when they're talking about opposing slavery. They say, no one wants to get rid of slavery more than I do, so Will Witt and his horde of dipshits can get up there and be like, yeah, you show him. But he can talk the talk. But when it came to walking the walk, he owned slaves his entire life and instructed other people to mistreat slaves the same way that he did also. Finally, it's a really low bar to be setting to say that they're not racist because they were against slavery.
Founding documents in the Declaration of Independence where you have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In the first draft, that said life, liberty, and property. But Thomas Jefferson and the other founding fathers changed it to pursuit of happiness because they knew that people would think, oh, that means that slaves being property, they are endowed on me by God. But they changed it to pursuit of happiness so that property was not in there, so that that couldn't be an inalienable.
That is more or less a true statement. It does seem to be generally understood that that was why he did it. But again, when you mix falsehoods in, With true things, you're making your argument weaker.
Right that you have as an American to own property, to own a slave. It is not the racist country that you think it is. Don't let the left try and misinform you and say that it was founded on racism.
Don't let the left misinform you. While pretty much this entire fucking video was misinforming us. Okay. 80% of the things Will Dimwit just spewed was incorrect, and that was only done in like 50 seconds. This is almost like an impressive amount of lying done in such a short amount of time. So great job, Will Dimwit. Great job, buddy. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you get notified when I drop a new video.